Okay, Dr. Eric Aiken with the Mind Fitness Method, and I want to talk to you about willpower today. Again, I started this channel because I had gotten to a level in my life of really bad health, and being a neurosurgeon and being overweight is a bad combo. It's hard on you. It can really, you know, neurosurgery takes up so much of your life that if you aren't in really good shape, and in fact, one of the people when I was a medical student and I was talking to this neurosurgeon um, who was the chairman of the department of neurosurgery at a university where I was going to med school, and one of the things he had like a list of four things that he thought were very important to be a neurosurgeon. He said, number one, you got to make good grades. Obviously, you got to be a good scholar of medicine, and number two, you had to have a strong character and integrity, because a lot of neurosurgery is a high risk type of field of medicine, like pretty much all of medicine, but bad things happen, and the point he was making is that you have to have integrity and strong character so that you can face up when mistakes are made, or when something happens. Number three was he said you have to be in good physical condition to be a neurosurgeon, and I really didn't listen to that. Now the fourth thing that he told me was the most, one of the four main things was don't screw the help, which I actually feel was probably pretty good advice. But that said, I eventually learned that I had allowed myself to get overweight, and I learned that I wasn't going to be able to continue like this, or else my job was going to suffer and my relationships were already suffering for it. I just didn't have the energy to invest in my family and my loved ones when I got home from work. I wasn't, I didn't have my motivation. I didn't have my goal striving self, I didn't have a sense of humor. I didn't have any patience for anybody. And so I had to make something change. And in fact, it got so bad that, at one point, my girlfriend and I actually broke up. It was, and largely my fault, because I just wasn't, physically available. And so I turned it around. And, a general surgeon friend told me you need to get in shape. General surgeons don't beat around the bush about a lot of things, and this guy just said, look, you're too fat. You got to get in shape. You look like crap. And so I thought, dang, but when I thought about it, I realized he was right. And so I set about it, and I started the things that I had learned in my neurosurgical practice, the mental tricks I had to keep me going on that path, I started to apply to my weight loss endeavor. And, being able to lose weight is really not, it's not a matter of having some special level of intelligence or something special about you. All it is a matter of having the right mental perspectives, and you can achieve it for the vast majority of people. And now there are some people with medical conditions, and, all right, if you've got a thyroid problem, well then, all right, you may have to have a little help in order to lose weight. But short of something like that, which isn't very many people overall, then you should be able to lose weight with the right mental tricks, mindsets, and perspectives and tips. So with willpower, I want you to think about it like your battery in your cell phone. In the morning, willpower, or your battery in your cell phone, is very strong, and you can run a bunch of different apps at the same time, and there's no problem. Of course, the more apps you're running, the faster you're running that battery down, and eventually the battery on the cell phone will die before the end of the day. So what you want to do is not use the battery up so much. That means don't use quite so many apps so that you run the battery down. Well, by the same token, your willpower, you only have so much for each day, and it runs down by the end of the day. The more tired you get, the less willpower you have. And the more that you are applying your willpower to, and the more things you're applying it to at the same time, the faster you're running your willpower down. And so when you wake up in the morning, you would want to exercise as soon as you can after you wake up. If you can work out before work, then that's the time to work out, because your willpower is the strongest to do it then. And if you can't work out before work out at lunch. If you can't work out at lunch, well, then you're going to have to do it after work. But I will tell you right now, when you've had a hard day at work and somebody pissed you off and things just didn't go well, how likely do you think you're going to be able to use your willpower to get in the gym at the end of all that? It's just better to get it out of the way early when your willpower is strong. Second thing with using your willpower with eating, I personally like to restrict my calories in the morning. I like to do like a 12 to 14 hour fast, every day on the weekdays. I don't worry about it so much on the weekends sometimes, but you got to look at your calories, not per day or per hour or per meal. Look at it per week, okay? So if you eat, let's say on average, you've been eating 3,000 calories a day. And let's just say that you begin to fast for 12 hours Monday through Friday. Well, so that you don't eat anything after 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. the next day. Or every now and then you extend it to 8 a.m. the next day. So you get to 12 to 14 hour fast in. So in doing that, maybe you sliced off maybe 500 calories per day on average by doing that. Well, that 500 calories per day average that you sliced it down to could mean the difference between gaining weight and losing weight on a daily basis. And here's the good part, because really your weight is more closely tied to what you're eating than how much you're exercising. The exercise is important, but for different reasons, not because it burns up calories so much as all of the other mental benefits that it does for you. And that's something I'll get into in another talk later. But if you can do some things to not have to use that I'm not going to eat app so much. For example, when you wake up in the morning, if you have a cup of coffee, coffee is an appetite suppressant. So you still achieve the not eating, but you're not having to exert quite so much willpower to do it. That gives you a little bit of reserve of willpower to use at lunchtime. Also, exercising before you eat. Exercise will increase the catecholamines in your bloodstream, which also lowers your hunger. So if you eat and exercise, if you drink coffee and exercise in the morning when you wake up before you eat breakfast, you're more likely to stretch that fast a few more hours, and then exert your willpower at lunch or brunch, whenever you decide to break your fast, and maybe make sure you put that salad in there so that you're getting some volume of calorie-less food with your meal, and you end up taking in not quite so many calories. At the end of the day, though, your willpower is pretty well gone, and so you're going to cheat. Now you're going to exercise a calculated cheat. And you can premeditate that a little bit. And again, with some strategy, you can learn how to not cheat so much and not have to use your willpower so much either in the effort of not cheating quite so much. But you got to cheat, because at that point in time, you're tired. And if you think, gosh, I couldn't keep from cheating, so I'm just not going to be able to do this. See, it's going to lower your confidence in your ability to do that. But really, cheating a little at the end of the day isn't going to be that big of a deal, particularly if you've been able to fast for 12, 14 hours every day. Now, if you're someone whose metabolism is such that you've got to have a meal pretty well, calculated, breakfast, lunch, dinner every day, well, again, you could still use your willpower a little better, during the first 2 meals of the day. And the end of the day, you're not going to do as good. Just accept the fact. And don't let yourself think that because you couldn't exert the same level of willpower at each meal that you're not going to be capable of losing weight. It's not the fact. I hope this was helpful to you. if you liked what I presented here, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be basically presenting a lot of things that I've learned in research articles. There's a lot of incredible information on the psychology pertaining to weight loss these days, and I can take that stuff, I can translate it into straightforward, everyday language that you can understand, and not into much of medical jargon, gobbledygook. But this stuff is what we're learning about your mind and your ability, what you need to know in order to control your appetite, to maintain exercise, and actually to lose weight is growing exponentially. And really, I feel like in the last 5 years, the things that we're learning is really getting down to the heart of it. And we're starting to see the numbers of people entering into the obese category are slowing now because of what we're learning. And so I want to get this information out to you. I'll see you in the next one.